Hi, everybody. Welcome today. And we are going to start off this session talking about how vitality is our birthright. That's right. You heard that. It is our birthright that Dr. Susan Taylor tells us in her beautiful book, Return to Radiance. So thank you for joining us today, everyone at home. Thank you, Dr. Susan Taylor, for talking with our community. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sasha Kelchuk-Korn, Community Coordinator for Center for Meditation Science. Dr. Susan Taylor, let's get into this discussion about vitality. What a word.
Yeah, vitality started for me. It had to be when I was in my 20s. And so I remember I did many programs. I was teaching, and people used to say, well, what is it? How do I lose it? Or how do I gain it? And I remember I was right before 9/11, I was going to be doing something at the New York Open Center. And it was vitality, how to get it and how to keep it. So I'll just start with that because it seems that's what people wanted. And I never got to really do that for the public. But if you think about a baby, when a baby's born, in many cases, there's a vitality, even if they're born in conditions that aren't as favorable as some others. But there is a vitality for life. Everyone wants to live. Everything wants to live. Mm-hmm. Even the little insects that we catch and let go outside, everything wants to live. So vitality is our birthright, meaning that's what comes with our breath. When we take that first breath, whether it's a breath from the outside or we're breathing in the amniotic fluid, it's that breath, that process of vibration, that spanda, that expansion of what we are is our vitality. And what happens is we're born with given a certain number, and we have it, that's innate. Then we have acquired vitality. That's what we get through the nourishment, through what we eat and what we assimilate and absorb, not just what we eat. That's always incorrect when I say that. In a way that we could all eat the same diet, but we assimilate and absorb different things based on our individuality. And we had spoken about that in another episode where we talked about everyone's unique. So everyone does absorb things a little bit differently. So what happens is, as we go through life, we want to acquire more nourishment. That nourishment turns into vitality because it gives us the energy that we need to carry out our duties in the world. And what happens is we start losing it when we get into those habits of improper thinking. I like to start with that first. I had given seminars on food that feeds the mind, and people thought I was always going to just talk about the amino acids, the foods that you eat, the omega-3s and all of that. But what do we feed our mind by the way we think? Are we worrying, fearful? Are we irritated? Are we scared? What is it that we're feeding our mind? Are we feeding our mind happy thoughts? Are we feeding our mind fearful thoughts? So that is going to produce a reaction on the cellular level and change our vitality. Mm-hmm. We all know that when we're happy, we have more energy. When we dread something, oh gosh, another day at home where I can't go distract myself because of the shutdown. Mm-hmm. That's been very stressful on people, or children having to stay home when socialization as human beings is key to life. That's key to vitality, actually. Mm-hmm. We need to see each other. We need to be in contact with the human body again. We need to have that. Mm-hmm. We could try to avoid it all we want. It's not going to be in our best interest. Mm-hmm. The greatest cultures that have lived the longest lives are the ones that are community-based, and they're not throwing their elderly away or not paying attention to their mothers and the women who feed the world. Mm-hmm. So we need to come back into that community, and it's coming now, actually. Yes. We're realizing that we need community. We need to be, that's what makes us vital. And that is our birthright. Our birthright is to be healthy, be energetic, and share that so that we can light the path for others to dwell in that. Because not everyone is given the same privileges at birth. Mm-hmm. And if we're given the ability to have good food, good water, a place to live, a place to sleep, a place to educate ourselves, then it's easier to be vital. Mm-hmm. If we're not given those, it's much harder. So when I say vitality is our birthright, if we're given a body and we're given healthy circumstances and, a life that way, it's our birthright. We can be as vital as we want.
Mm-hmm.
It's only what's between our two ears many times that gets in the way of happiness. Because you've heard people that have been, and I've seen interviews with people that have even been in prison. They choose to do something with that time. That's hard. That's a hard test. I wouldn't want to have to experience that test.
Mm-hmm.
But it's coming through that we have those choices. We have the choice to be free, or we have the choice to be bound. And you know the old story with the elephant. When they're chained, even when they clip the chain, the elephant still thinks it's chained.
Mm-hmm.
So if we know that vitality is our birthright, the joy, the abundance, that illuminous vitality, that shine that we have when we're happy, and we've all seen people like that.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is that joy is already within us. We just need to uncover, as I told you, take the lampshade off.
Mm-hmm.
And the lampshade are all those things that we put around us to make ourselves miserable.
Yes.
And I could relate to all of that. I am not, joy is the greatest mantra of all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's only found within.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything on the outside is subject to death and decay. Everything. Anything that we buy, any relationship that we're in, anything is not permanent. The only thing that's permanent is your own inner light.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only thing you can carry with you. So when you learn to tap into that, then you can enjoy the things on the outside. They're all there for you to enjoy. But we don't, because our birthright is that. It's not something that is lost.
Yes. And I love that you touch on that in the book. You talk about how, this birthright, we do lose it, just as you're explaining it now. It's lost, but then taking us on how to regain it again. And it's a nice ride that you take through this book of self-reflection. You learn to look at yourself as you go through it. You learn a lot just about how these simple changes, maybe it's just thinking, maybe it's just your diet, maybe it's just something small, but that can have such a profound impact on your life moving forward.
I put, you're talking about the book. I always include a knowledge base in the book. Knowledge meaning I want people to be empowered. Knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
And self-knowledge is the power I'm talking about, not an external power that, where people push and repress others. But self-knowledge, when we have that self-knowledge, which is our birthright, we all have it within ourselves. So just to remind people to access that, you become your own laboratory in your own self-development and your own self-transformation. So by turning people's attention inward, then people can enjoy their life outward.
Mm-hmm.
But unless that inward is developed and accessed, we fall short. We get fatigued and energy drains.
Yes.
And that's what happens. People are talking about diet. I see it all the time. They say they're exhausted. They need the mitochondria to be up functioning. They need this cell. They need this. The cell that needs to be nourished is the self, the cell of the self.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the key. Once you access that, then you don't not nourish yourself. You don't speak to yourself negatively. You don't have harsh thoughts. You don't find irritation with other people, because you learn to understand how well you understand yourself is how well you understand others. And I teach, when I do the teacher training for meditation, it's the same principle where I say, how well you are established in your own practice is what you could transmit to your student base. And that's why I try to impart to people, pay attention. If someone's speaking and you don't feel right with that, that's okay. That's not where you want to be. Respect that.
Yes. Respect for yourself. Trust yourself. Pay attention to yourself and trust yourself.
Yes. And that's what our community is all about.
Absolutely. Our beautiful community. And I thank you guys again for everybody for joining us, our community. For those who are just entering this community, thank you for being here. We are going to dive more into Return to Radiance in our following segments. Next time, let's talk about some out of balance, How do we know we're out of balance, and where does that radiance fit in? Where can we regain that radiance once it is out of balance? So let's talk about that next time. That sounds
Okay,
good.
Sasha. If
All
that's what
right.
you want, that's what we'll do. See you next
Yes.
time.
All right. Sounds good. Bye-bye.